my project had started to sort of turn into like a more clear brand, and I wanted my event series and eventually label to be a bit more reflective of my artist project. And I love everything otherworldly, outer spacey. I'm obsessed with aliens. And so I wanted Cosimea to be this like otherworldly space that I create sonically and through events that I throw.
Now, when you say you're obsessed with aliens, go into that a little bit. What do you mean by, are you going to Area 51? Well,
no, I just like genuinely think aliens are real. Like
Right.
I'm kind of like a tinfoil hat person. I believe there's like a little bit of truth into every conspiracy theory when it comes to aliens.
It's Powertools, and we got AZZECCA in the house. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. It's a little crazy for you. You got Coachella this weekend. You got all your friends in town.
Yeah, it's I've been in LA all week sort of doing last minute prep and meeting with a bunch of people and like getting ready to head down to Coachella right when I leave here today.
Right.
And, yeah, vibes are super high. Also have a ton to do still.
Is the set done? Is the set ready?
You know what? I've spent all of my time this week trying to finish some last songs that I want to play in my set.
Right.
So I'm still like buttoning up a couple of them, and as soon as they're finished, then I'll prep my set. And yeah.
I like that term. I haven't heard a producer say "butting." I'm buttoning up this song. I like that.
I'm button them all up.
Yeah,
The details
kind
in.
of finishing, putting the finishing touches on it. That's really, really cool. You've had releases on Higher Ground, Ministry of Sound, Factory 93. You've also, you've played. This is going to be your third time playing at Coachella, which is crazy.
So crazy.
You're a multi-instrumentalist. You're from the home of house music, Chicago. Let's go. But let's go back to the beginning of AZZECCA. And I want to know, where did you find your passion for dance music? What was that moment where everything clicked for you?
Yeah, I always loved electronic music. My mom listened to a lot of sort of pop electro growing up, but it wasn't until I moved to Chicago right after I graduated from college and went to Smart Bar for the first time to see Derek Carter at his Night Queen.
Ooh, that would do it.
And I sort of just lost my mind and felt this like collective experience that I had never felt before. And from that point forward, it was just sort of like for years and years and years, 4 nights a week, I was going out to clubs in Chicago and just absorbing all of the culture I could, listening to real house music, dipping my toes into all different types of electronic music. And I realized like, yeah, this is for me. This is it.
Right. But you weren't thinking, I want to be a producer, I want to DJ. You were just experiencing it, taking it in as a fan and being part of the community.
Yeah, I was a raver first. That's what
Right.
ignited the flame in me. It was just being on the dance floor and seeing how it felt. And yeah, just felt really special. And I wanted to be a part of it.
And Derek Carter, he takes you on journeys. That's
Truly,
amazing.
yeah.
One of the great pioneers, one of the great DJs. And besides, like in those early days, there was Derek Carter. Who else were you listening to?
Oh my gosh. I cycled through so many different genres and types of dance music. Derek Carter, Seth Troxler. Seth Troxler was one of my first favorites. DJ Tennis, always loved him so much. And then I also dabbled into more of the EDM dubstep-y side of things. People like Adventure Club and Flux Pavilion. I went through a phase where I was really obsessed with that. And then, Chris Lake, Walker and Royce, one of their first albums was just an amazing album. And I don't know, it just sort of spread from there. I kind of just started digging deeper and deeper and more niche and
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. Now, early on, you learned how to play the piano, the flute. What gave you the discipline to play, those instruments early on? Was that a parent thing? Was that a school thing? And secondly, how did that musical foundation shape you as a producer today?
Yeah, so I was never really good at sports, and my dad was super into sports, and he really wanted me to get into something, and I always really liked music. So instead of joining a sports team, I joined band and jazz band. I was in a like traveling competitive band where I played the bass piano, I played the flute in band.
Wait, what's the bass piano?
So there's like bass and treble piano. So the bass piano you play on a different scale. So I learned to play on a treble scale and a bass scale on the piano, and I played the flute. So I just sort of like dove into music and I was obsessed with it. I would be like in my bedroom practicing the flute all day and then the piano all night. And it was just sort of my whole life for years and years and years.
Just so you know, my mom was a piano and flute teacher.
Oh, really?
So I know what you're good. That's
why
why
the fingers. If
yes.
you have like flautist fingers, you can play the piano. That's what my instructor always said.
Right. So that when it really hit me, I was like, wow, that's crazy. She learned both. And my mom was a piano and flute teacher, and I didn't learn any. She tried teaching me. I just kept on quitting. I was like, I can't do this.
You know, I bought a flute a couple of years ago, actually during COVID. I was like, I'm going to relearn to play the flute. Yeah, that definitely went away.
Right. And how is that, like that foundation that had to really help you out once you started dabbling into making beats and stuff?
Definitely, yeah. I think, you know, having a base understanding of music theory really helps. I also think understanding the emotion of more classical music helps you to understand the emotion in the music that you're making in the electronic sphere. And I think emotionality in dance music is really important and is sort of one of the cornerstones of my project. So yeah, I think it helped a lot.
That's dope. That's really, really cool. And talk to us about like the first time you got behind the decks, like not your first DJ, I guess, gig, but you're watching DJs. When was the first time you actually either you went to a friend's house and you got behind the decks and like actually tried the art?
Yeah, I think it was just in a friend's kitchen. One of those like 6 a.m. back at a friend's house, get on the decks, playing off somebody else's USB, you know, just for fun, playing back to back with a bunch of friends. And I think for a while I was sort of intimidated by DJing. Because it's quite vulnerable when you're sharing music that you like with other people. And when you first start doing it, and even in a space where you're with all of your friends, you're kind of like, are you guys going to like this song? Or like, you know what I mean? So it took me a while, actually, to DJ in front of people. I started throwing parties at clubs in Chicago before I ever started DJing in front of people. I just sort of promoted the night.
Right.
And then eventually I got comfortable enough doing like the opening sets at my own parties. And then it sort of evolved from there.
And what did you learn from doing the opening set at your own parties? Because that's really, in my opinion, sometimes more important than the headlining set, because that sets the vibe of the whole night.
Yeah, I think learning to be an opener as a skill before you head off to be headlining in clubs is like the most important thing you can do as a DJ, because learning how to curate energy in a room that's dead is a skill that you can take throughout your entire career, because even as a headliner, you're going to be playing in rooms where the energy's dead.
Right.
And you can't rely on like the big banging hits. You need to know how to like dig and sort of rebuild from the ground up. And like having that skill from opening rooms is something that will help you in your career.
Right. That's good. That's a very good point of how you're saying it, because the room is dead. You're starting from zero energy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want to come in where the energy is 90 and hit 110 and, not having the understanding of the foundation. And if you walk into a room, not every gig is going to be at capacity, and they don't know how to handle that.
Yeah. Or you walk into a room and you need to reset the vibe because the person playing before you was doing something that doesn't quite fit with what you want to do.
Right.
So then you got to learn to reset the room and sort of guide the night back in a different direction.
Right, 100%. And speaking of those parties, you're playing at your own party. That your first series, I think, was like a disco party for what was the Dirty Disco?
It was called Dirty Disco, yeah.
Right. And you were doing that kind of to do more of a female-driven type of party. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so during COVID, I was talking, we were just like having these little hang-ins with our friends at our apartments, and then we're all like, oh God, I can't wait to go back to the clubs. And so many of my girlfriends were like, yeah, I don't really go to the clubs anymore because it's just like a bit weird. I feel a bit uncomfortable. There's guys always touching me, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really think so much about that. I guess I hadn't really experienced it, or the type of people I hung out with generally were a bit more like comfortable.
Right.
I don't know, but I started talking to a bunch of friends and I realized like, oh wow, this is a real problem. Girls are like not going to clubs.
Right.
And so, I started talking to originally Spy Bar, which is another like legendary club in Chicago. And they were like, cool, when we open back up, we'll give you a night. And we'll let you curate this night. We'll let you book the artists. And so I just sort of promoted it in a way that was very like, I never specifically said like this is a night for women, but it was just, this is a space for everybody. This is a safe space. I'm a woman. Like there's this female energy, and it just sort of naturally progressed into a night where women, like all types of people, not just men, came, and you could feel it on the dance floor, and it felt like a really special thing.
I mean, my wife used to, all she went to, because of that same reason, she would go to gay clubs.
Yeah, that's why girls go to Queen.
Yeah.
Like, so I wanted to make a night that was like, that queer people also wanted to come to, and women, and it was just like, the dance floors you want, diverse dance floors, and
100%.
Just doing my part to try and bring it back, I guess.
And how has like living in Chicago for 15 years really like, shape your sound, shape you as an artist? I mean, you're starting with Derek Carter. That foundation is amazing.
Yeah. I think that Chicago House and acid plays such a big role in my music. I feel like a track is not complete without a really nice acid line. And I think that is something that I discovered in Chicago, and that will stick with me forever. I really love, more like drum machine drums, which is indicative of Chicago house.
Right.
And I love, a nice little acid line. So as much as my style and my sound evolves, those are two things that like to my core will always stick with me.
That's dope. And speaking of an acid line, you have a sick acid line in your new single, Make Your Move. That with the piano breakdown and the acid line. It's on Warehouse Project. Talk to us about the inspiration of that song.
Oh, man. That song is sort of like, it feels like the first big release of mine that's like a step in this evolution of my sound. Mm-hmm. Because it's faster, it's harder, but, it's got the big piano that I have included in some of my past songs. It's got the acid. It's just a song that as I was making it, it like came together in these sections, and it's got a lot going on. It's a busy song, but like it just gives me this like nostalgic feeling while also sounding really fresh and new. I don't know. I'm really excited about this song. That's
amazing. And did you collab with it? Because there's a vocalist, or is there a collaboration on this song?
Nope. That's just a royalty-free sample that I found, and it just spoke to me. It felt really high energy and really girly, which I love. And I just went with it.
Right. And let's talk about your label and event series, Cosimea. Talk to us about the spirit and the energy behind that.
Yeah, so Cosimea is sort of the evolution of Dirty Disco. I felt like my Dirty Disco parties were amazing in Chicago, but everyone did think that it was disco music, and it actually wasn't disco music. It was just sort of a play on like a grungy discoteca. So it was a little bit confusing, and I felt like my project had started to sort of turn into like a more clear brand, I guess, and I wanted my event series and eventually label to be a bit more reflective of my artist project. And I love everything otherworldly, outer spacey. I'm obsessed with aliens. And so I wanted Cosimea to be this like otherworldly space that I create sonically and through events that I throw. So I made up the word Cosimea, which is sort of a play on the cosmos. And all of the music that I release on my label and the artists that I look to book are all artists that sort of play slightly left of center, a little bit like otherworldly, outside of the box. And it just gives me and everyone else an opportunity to sort of like get a bit weird and have some fun when they DJ.
Nice. Now, when you say you're obsessed with aliens, Go into that a little bit. What do you mean by, are you going to Area 51? Well,
No. No, I just like genuinely think aliens are real. Like
Right.
I'm kind of like a tinfoil hat person. I believe there's like a little bit of truth into every conspiracy theory when it comes to aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Are you also a sci-fi nut?
I love sci-fi. Oh my
Right.
gosh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm super into not like monster sci-fi,
Right,
but
right.
like anything with like quantum physics that plays into like outer space
Right.
and other like living beings. Sign me up. I love it all.
Okay, dope. You're playing Coachella. It's your third time playing, which is amazing.
Crazy.
Talk to us about, that's a huge milestone. Talk to us about what that means to you.
I mean, so getting to play the last 2 years on like non-official Coachella stages, I did Quasar last year and then I did Do Lab 2 years ago. Both, each time I was booked for those, it was sort of like a, oh my God, this is it moment.
Right.
But since I started touring, making music, releasing music, between myself and my agent, it's literally been like all roads point to Yuma. Like for years
Right.
now, there's been this like guiding light in like every decision I make, and it's to get to play Yuma.
Right.
And so when I got the call from my agent, he's like, "Are you sitting down?" I'm like, yeah. He's like, "You got the Yuma booking." And it was just like this moment of like, it's all paying off. Like everything I've done has led to this moment. And it's like everything to me. And I'm just so excited and so grateful for this opportunity.
And Yuma, shout out to Framework, shout out to Kobe. Yeah.
Yeah. Love you, Kobe. Thank
yeah.
you.
Now, your husband is also a producer.
Yeah.
What type of music does he produce?
You know, he's all over the place too, but he kind of does sort of the like, it's so hard because he does like commercial, more like poppy house. At least that's where they started. But now he's sort of dipping.
He's in a group or something?
Yeah, Gorgon City.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
I did not put that all together. Okay.
Yeah,
And thus
so-
releases on Realm.
Yes,
you
exactly.
go.
Yeah, I feel like every time I finish a track, Kai's like, "Are you going to release this on Realm?" And I'm like, "I have to release somewhere else."
That's got to be an awkward question in the house. He's hearing it. Oh, this is hot.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, "What do you think of this?" And he's like, "Can we sign this to Realm?" And I'm like, "Let me think about it."
That is funny.
Yeah.
So you have another artist in the house, also an A&R in the house. Is that sometimes maybe you just like, I'm going to mix this down in headphones?
Oh, I mean, we argue all the time. We have to separate ourselves. Even yesterday, I had a bunch of music work to do. I had booked a studio here in LA all week to get my stuff done.
Right.
But yesterday I just wanted to like work in the hotel, and I literally was like, "You need to go to the studio. Like you have to get out of here," because even and we work together sometimes at home.
Right.
We have a studio at home, and some days we just like jam out together, and we end up arguing all the time because our tastes are like kind of similar in some ways,
Right.
but also very different in
Right.
some ways. And like when one of us starts to give a bit too much input into what we're doing, all of a sudden it's a little bit like,
Right.
I'm going to go in the other room.
Right. I mean, that's just typical marriage stuff,
Yeah.
but it's like, that's hilarious because it's like part of you're producing and it could be like, I think the kick is too loud. No, it's not.
literally.
No, it's not. It's good.
Literally,
Yeah.
exactly that. Or like, yeah, the kick's too boomy, or I don't like those tops at all, or like
Right.
that hi-hat's annoying. And then he's like, especially with drums, we argue about drums all the time because he likes really, like, he loves a rim shot. And
Right.
I'm like, I don't really love rim shots that much. And so just like, yeah.
That's funny. But that's also awesome that you guys can also connect on that
Totally.
level.
Yeah.
I don't know any couples that are arguing about rim shots. You know?
Well, I don't know. But yeah, we like have like date nights sometimes where we'll just like get a nice bottle of wine and go into the studio and just like jam out. I swear we've made like an entire like ambient album at this point because we have these two synths that we both love to just like sit and like just play at the same time on, and like
Right.
we're like, we should do an ambient album. This is so lovely. But yeah, so it's amazing in some
Okay.
ways.
That's cool. All right. Well, I'm excited to hear your set at Coachella. The new single "Make Your Move" is fire.
Thank you.
Are you playing? Is the piano? Is that you on the piano?
No, it's just like drew it in on MIDI.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you got the chops back in there.
No.
Right.
Gosh. I'm not that good anymore.
But it's awesome having you. I mean, we love the music you're putting out, and keep on doing what you're doing, and we'll have you back soon.
Amazing. Thanks so much for having me.
Powertools.